What's up, guys? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Young Jeezy's breakout mixtape, Trap or Die. Now, with this project, this actually came out before his Thug Motivation 101 series, and also before he had ever really been on an album in stores apart from independent albums. So Jeezy had a pretty large 2005, and this mixtape was part of the reason why he blew up as much as he did. He was just on the right songs, had the right producers, the right backing, doing stuff with DJ Drama, getting a Gangsta Grills, and just his overall personality helped bestow upon the way that things would kind of go for the next several years in terms of like Atlanta and Dirty South music and that sort of stuff. So it was good. I mean, I appreciated it for what it was, but this mixtape is, I mean, even though I said it was a good experience, but it's not a stellar mixtape like it might have been 15 years ago. And that's the thing. Do I see it as a classic? Not really. Do I see its impact as extremely large? Yes, I do. And that's kind of the thing. I'm so used to mixtapes anymore having like a charting single. It's very bare bones to get like a bunch of freestyles, a bunch of DJs shouting on the songs, and then less than 2 minute songs that make it kind of feel just real still in the works more so than completion type. So that's kind of the thing. I mean, it's a very in the trenches and kind of in the works kind of project. There are new songs on here, at least for that time, but it's not. I mean, it's just a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. So we'll talk about some of this so you get the sense. I would almost think that Trap or Die was kind of released as a single, considering that that's what the mixtape is named after. It's one of the best songs on the mixtape, but then you're also going to find a lot of songs on this project that showed up several months later on the Motivation 101 project. Songs like Get Your Mind Right, Trap or Die, Air Forces, what else? This things like that. I was thinking there was at least another one, but that's kind of like the thing is for me to relatively talk about. Um, so this review is not going to be the most lengthy, like I've been making some of my more recent reviews, but I have enough to talk about Jeezy to say that he does have an approachable character and he knows how to make songs. And a lot of folks have said in the past that Jeezy is not really the most stellar rapper. He's not really a lyricist. Yeah, it's true. He's not Nas. He's not. He's not Nas. He's not Lil Wayne. He's not Ti. But he does. The thing I like about Jeezy is just the stuff he says. It's kind of like he'll rhyme words, and he has a really good penchant for picking words that you may not think. And in some cases it's just the sentences, like the bars he says are just really unexpected. So he doesn't try to get super lyrical and stuff, but the things he says still hit just as much, just because they're either relatable or they're basic enough to the point where it just is fun to listen to. And with Afro Man, he would rhyme basic words like cold, old, sold, that sort of stuff, just one syllable words. Jeezy kind of is like a step above that, but he still keeps it rather basic. And I do appreciate his style, because I don't feel like all rap songs have to be lyrical. And so that's kind of what shows up. He brings a couple of his buddies with him. There's one in particular named Slick Pulla, who was a part of his USDA group. He shows up several times, and he's basically like a second Banana to Jeezy and such. And it's good just to kind of get that established, so you knew right off the bat. I mean, Jeezy hasn't even put out an album, and he already has folks that are trying to see out his vision and that sort of thing. So I appreciate that also. I don't think Blood Raw was on this project, but at least Slick Pulla was. He was on a lot of his mixtapes and that sort of stuff. So he does have some extra help in the form of that. It does have guests on there, and some of those things. But all right, so to kind of start talking as far as trying to score this, the problem with this album was I only liked 7 songs out of 26, which is pretty terrible. I mean, that's the thing. I give this credit just because of the large buzz that Jeezy had in 2005 as a whole. But the whole thing about it is a lot of this is there's just terrible production. There's terrible production. A lot of the songs show up on his actual album. Some of these freestyles are just of other songs, and they don't. I mean, some of these freestyles are just of other songs, and they don't really jump off the page either. So that's a lot of the things in it. And then even then, like the interludes and the skits, most of the time Jeezy comes off as like a motivational speaker, but it's not really the most stellar in the concept of that. He's just kind of saying, you know, where I come from, I get money, and that's all I'm about, and I'm a real dude, and that sort of stuff. But that may have been convincing 15 years ago, but I don't know. I mean, I I wouldn't have expected like something comedic for Jeezy's skits, but I would have liked a little bit more charisma in some of these skits. But that's kind of the thing. I mean, I felt like the Still Slizzard song off of Boys in the Hood's album, Jeezy had more personality on there, just trying to motivate his crew to kind of stop being drunk and get to the money already. There wasn't really anything like that on this project, and that's this kind of thing. It's strictly motivate people, get out there and get it, get on your grind, that sort of stuff. But to a certain effect, that only goes so far. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and list the 7 songs out of 26 that I recommend to you. So, Trap or Die, which the only reason I'm recommending it is that I would have recommended the songs off of Thug Motivation, but they're the same song, so you might as well just get that version, the album version. But Trap or Die has an extra verse from Slick Pulla, who he's not on the album version, so I recommend it. So Trap or Die, Get 'em Jeezy, Miss Me with That Rap Shit, Grey Goose, We We Love Ya, Georgia Freestyle, and then Rollas and Ridas. So those are the 7 ones. I'll talk about a couple of those just so you know the absolute best ones to go through if you really don't want to sift through this. So I felt like Rollas and Ridas had the best beat on here. Plus it has a secret verse from Bun B. I kind of like these Jeezy and Bun B songs. They've collaborated quite a bit, so that's good to check out. Grey Goose had a pretty good beat. Miss Me with That Rap Shit probably had the second best beat on here. And I mean, to describe some of these beats, they're trap circa 2005. So it's not like trap like Migos and Lil Baby and those type dudes what they're doing now, but it still speaks. If you have played Jeezy out to the whim and you know all these songs, this is like an extra taste of Jeezy because some of these actually pass for decent car music, decent smoking music, decent drinking music, decent party music, decent trap music, and decent this some cases hustle music. Just the way you look at some of that stuff, I would have to say it's kind of similar to the way Lil Wayne did back on mixtapes back in 2006 and 2008 and such. It's kind of the same interest. I feel like Jeezy was large enough to where people just got the song just because it had his name on it more so than that. It's just an easy download. But unfortunately, it's too bad that in 2005 that may have been easy enough or simple enough just because it was Jeezy. But all these years later, it's kind of like, okay, well, if I want some extra music, and especially kind of shit to ride out to and just cruise around to, what should I listen to? Well, some of those 7 songs I listened would definitely do that, but I think a lot of these still hold up throughout all the time that's passed, and they hold the test of time. That's definitely kind of the thing there to say that, but it's basically just like a mini version of Thug Motivation 101. It's not quite as good as that, but it has enough of a bite to it that it's worth saying, hey, if this is free, there's not really too many reasons to turn it down. It just is not stellar. It's not above average. It just is enough to get a small taste of Jeezy, but then you're going to have to pay for the rest. So, me liking 7 out of 26 total songs on this project, I'm just going to give this a 3 out of 10. I mean, honestly, that's less than a third of the project, so 3 out of 10. I guess I could give a 3.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 10. The main reason why I'm giving it that is because I would have liked way more songs, and some of these songs should have just been saved for the Jeezy album rather than putting them on here with all the DJ sounds and horns and all that. He should have just had some extra songs, because I know Jeezy probably had dozens of songs that he could have fucked around and had also on this project. So this is kind of the thing. There's enough of a taste to say this is what Jeezy was up to, but the taste kind of is baffling just because the taste is baffling just because some of the beats he picked were really bad, and most of them kind of just stem from the beats he picked from other people. But I like the Trap or Die and Rollas and Ridas type song and Miss Me with that rap shit. But the question is where are all the songs that are like those? Because easily he could have done it. If he knew to make those, he needed to do it again. But the extra stuff he tries to do mostly falls flat. So that's kind of the thing. The social score, I'll give a 2 out of 10 because it did have Trap or Die, but it didn't really have. I mean, it just did enough to present the buzz, and but it didn't really have a single, and it had too many songs that were on the actual album. There was a song from Fabulous. There were songs, that sort of stuff. There was a song that was on Fabulous's album, so it was just kind of. I mean, it did well. I don't want to confuse the issue like the promotion for this was terrible, but standing up to where, in terms of original material, that's a little bit different. So that's kind of the thing there. But so yeah, 3.5 out of 10 and 2 social. And once again, because I give this such a low score, that does not mean I wouldn't fuck with it. It simply means that it's lacking. And that's just all it is. The songs are still good. You can still play them in the whip. You can still play them all these different places, have a party to them, whatever. But you're just going to probably notice some real shortcomings.